Hey everybody, it's Wilbits. We've gathered everybody here in the cargo hold. I'm sure you guys are all curious why I brought you here. In Ace Attorney Investigations, Miles Edgeworth. Hi, I'm Miles Edgeworth. Miss Meal. Miss Meal!
Huh?
Do you recall what you said earlier? About when you answered some service calls as we were departing from Zengfa?
Huh? What? Who are you? Where am I?
You said that Mr. Hicks was sitting in his seat at that time. However, that is simply not possible. Because Mr. Hicks was dead long before we ever touched down in Zengfa.
Huh?
Miss Cammy Meal.
Maybe I didn't see what I thought I did?
No one can make a mistake so large, Miss Meal.
But I make that kind of boo-boo all the time. Oops.
No. This is going nowhere. There must be a better way of resolving this contradiction. Very well, Miss Meal. If you please, tell me about your alibi during the time span. From just before we were to land at 3 a.m. and 6 a.m. when the body was found.
Are you telling me I'm a suspect, Mr. Edgeworth? Oh gosh. Golly gosh.
As I look like the woman from The Ring as I sleep standing up.
Yeah. From 3 to 4, I was, in the flight attendant's room, all by my lonesome self. Yeah. And from 5 to 6, I was, in the flight attendant's room, all by my lonesome self.
But that leaves an hour gap where you... How is a man supposed to react to a testimony like that? Miss Meal, wake up! Ugly snoring. She fell asleep again. It looks like the only way I'm going to be able to wake her up is by pressing her, if you know what I mean. Press you right in the face.
Yeah.
Hey! Miss Meal, wake up.
I'm awake.
Miles Edgeworth, I demand that you do something about this flight attendant this instant. Why ask me to wake her when you can finally put that whip to an appropriate use?
From 3 to 4, I was, in the flight attendant's room, all by myself.
Not much of an alibi, is it? If I remember correctly, food was being served in first class and the lounge between the hours of 3 and 4 a.m.
Yeah, but that kind of stuff's run by Miss Rhoda.
Then what were you doing in the attendance room at that time?
Eating and then having the most delicious dream.
You mean you were neglecting your duties?
No way. Sleeping's part of our job too, you know.
Yeah, you must be really good at that part.
Yeah.
Press! Miss Meal, how many times do I have to repeat myself? Wake up! You gotta be faking a little.
I'm awake.
Yeah, well, what you with me for, sir? I'm just standing here.
Oh, what did I miss?
A poor detective being on the receiving end of a lash in your stead.
Really? Sorry about that.
You can make amends for that by continuing with your testimony.
And from 5 to 6, I was in flight.
You've conveniently skipped over an entire hour between 4 to 5.
Hold it!
So you were alone the entire time, were you?
Yeah, no one else even popped ahead to say hi. So lonely.
Oh, well, I think a contradiction just popped in to say hi. What should I do? Should I raise an objection? Yes! If you have an objection, then raise it. Miss Meal, there's a clear contradiction embedded in your testimony.
Huh? What are you talking about?
It's not possible that you were alone in the attendance room the whole time from 5 to 6 a.m. because we have a statement from... Oh, because at 5:40 she bought a suitcase and then she dropped it in there at 5:40. So at least during those 20 minutes, she probably wasn't there for at least one part of it.
Take that!
But we have a timestamp to prove it. I wonder if you'd be so kind as to take a look at this receipt, Miss Meal.
Huh? A receipt? For what?
It's for the suitcase Miss Tenero bought. Now, if I may direct your attention to the timestamp. As you can see, it clearly says 5:40 a.m., Miss Tenero.
Yes. Huh? Why is the killer here? I thought you'd have her locked up by now.
I requested that she be present as a witness so that we may straighten out your complex lie. Now then, Miss Tenero, between the hours of 5 and 6 a.m., you took a trip from first class down to the first floor in Flight's shop, correct?
Yes, I went to the shop to buy a suitcase. After which, I went straight to the attendance room to drop it off.
And did you see Miss Meal there at that time?
No.
So, Miss Meal, where were you really between the hours of 5 and 6 a.m.?
Convenient sleeping.
Miss Cammy Meal.
Bathroom?
I'll be the one to ask the questions here.
Yeah, maybe that's it. I probably just missed her. Nature calls, you know.
Do you take me for a fool? That's a little too convenient to be true.
But it's the truth. Cross my heart. I pee all the time. Peeing right now.
I don't have enough conclusive proof to counter-argue her at this stage.
You don't believe me, do you? But please, won't you give me a chance and hear me out?
Okay, tell us about your bathroom story.
Look, I know you suspected me because I'm one of the crew. But you think that maybe you should also suspect Miss Rhoda, too. She's the one who charged the elevator key card and the shop, you know. If you ask me, that makes her super suspicious.
Please leave Miss Tenero out of the conversation. Only you are under suspicion for now.
I don't get it. Why are you covering for Miss Rhoda all of a sudden? Oh, now I get it. Maybe you got your eye on Miss Rhoda. Maybe you want to have sleeping sex with her, right? Yeah? I understand. Metaphors.
Of course I'm keeping an eye on her. I can't very well let her escape, can I? Oh. Do I hear wedding bells?
Never mind. But you want to know something? Miss Rhoda actually kinda like... I have absolutely no interest in people who can't appreciate my sense of design. Anyone who would say that my suitcases are horrendous will not get to have my kisses.
Oh. What is everyone talking about? I have no idea. Now's not the time for this sort of talk. Or ever.
Look, I know you suspected me because I'm one of the crew.
Hold it!
No, it's not the only reason I have for suspecting you. Your statements regarding Mr. Hicks also turned out to be a bunch of lies.
But, see, I wasn't an attendant. You wouldn't suspect me then, would you?
Yes, I suppose that's true enough. If we lived in an alternate universe where you could just make things up.
But you think that maybe you should also suspect Miss Rhoda, too.
Hold it!
She is already being detained for further questioning, or have you already forgotten?
Oh, yeah, I guess I just forgot. Kevin, don't tell me you suspect me, too. Sorry, can't help, but, I mean, other than you, there's no one else who could have done it. I can't believe you would think that. I mean, me, a killer.
Miss Meal, what did you mean just now by no one else who could have done it? And the only thing killer about her is her design senses. Yikes.
She's the one who charged the elevator key card in the shop, you know.
Hold it!
And what are you in charge of, Miss Meal?
I take care of the attendance room.
That doesn't count.
But I spend so much time in there. It might as well be my responsibility. You see, Dr. Edgeworth, Cammy is very talented in languages, so she assists passengers who may not speak English, especially those who speak Borginian. She's the only one in this flight who is
Fluent. What a convenient thing for a smuggler to know how to do also.
Oh, you mean that kind of, what am I in charge of? Sorry. Why didn't you say so in the first place?
What else could I have meant?
Yeah, so I'm really good at Borginian. I speak Borgi real good. Yeah.
She's fluent in Borginian. Then I suppose you're in charge of processing documents in Borginian.
Yeah, I take care of anything that has to do with Borginian. You know, whatever. People, cargo. Mostly eating food from there, though.
Very interesting.
Just me. That makes us super suspicious.
Hold it!
Actually, your on-the-job behavior makes you super suspicious in my eyes.
Huh? But why?
While Miss Tenero is busy with the passengers and all of her other duties, you have a lot of free time on your hands, thus providing you with ample time to commit the crime.
Objection!
Miles Edgeworth, I demand that you cease and desist in this line of conjectural questioning. I won't allow you to bluff your way through like a certain defense lawyer. But I do not honestly believe Miss Meal does any actual work aboard this flight.
That's not true, Miss Edgeworth. Although, well, all I'm in charge of are the attendance room and some Borginian stuff.
Hold it!
So what exactly do you do as the one in charge of some Borginian stuff?
I do stuff like translate things from and into Borginian. Cammy's the only member of the crew who understands Borginian, Mr. Edgeworth.
Miss Meal, I take it then that it is your job to process all the Borginian paperwork?
Yeah, see, I totally pull my weight around here.
So it would appear. Perhaps I should ask her for a few more details about her work. And, Miss Meal, it's very unladylike to push suspicion onto someone else.
That's not what I'm doing at all. I'm just saying that Miss Rhoda is very
There you go, pushing everything onto her again.
I don't get what you're saying. It must be a really abstract concept, huh?
The only thing abstract here is the landscape inside your head.
Look, I know you suspected me.
Alright, so we're back here. So, all I'm in charge of are the attendance room and some Borginian stuff. And I think for this, we're going to present what we now know is a forged certificate. Says the statue is a little more than Fura, but the statue is a fake. And it is in Borginian, so she had to have dealt with it. So, you are the only one on this flight crew that speaks Borginian. Is that correct?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. I stayed abroad in Borginia for a while.
If that is the case, then the signature on this document belongs to you, doesn't it? I can tell because I read your name. This is a falsified piece of documentation with only one purpose. To lead anyone who read it to believe that Mr. LeBlanc's statue was loaded in Europe. The only person who could have either prepared or processed this document in Borginian is you, Miss Meal. Without your participation, the smuggling of the Alifred could not have occurred. Don't sleep while I'm pointing my finger at you!
When you dream of falling asleep on you, Mr. Edgeworth? It is exactly as you say.
Are you confessing to having participated in the smuggling?
No, far from it. It's true that I was the one who signed off on that document. But you can't use that fact alone to make your allegation of smuggling stick. Here, there's no direct correlation after all. All you have is my signature on a piece of paper.
Bubbles? Bubbles? Bubbles. Bubbles. Really, all you did was sign it.
I neglected to check if the cargo had been loaded onto the plane properly. So sorry about that.
It seems that she's finally woken up. This is going to be one tough flight.
Suppose, and this is just a supposition, even if I was involved in the smuggling, you can't throw the charge of murder on me just like that.
Objection!
If you're involved in the smuggling, you would have a strong motive to kill. Agent Hicks was in the middle of an investigation regarding a smuggling ring. And just when he was about to close in, he's killed by a member of that ring.
Well, did you ever stop to think that maybe Rhoda is the smuggling ring member? What about that? What if I said that and then it was true? After all, unlike me, Rhoda has access to many things on this plane for work purposes, whatever that means.
So perhaps there is some element of a setup at play in this case.
What are you talking about?
Don't worry, I wasn't talking about you. I meant the killer. First it was myself, and now it's Miss Tenero who is under the microscope. Seems to me that our killer is going to great lengths to pin this crime on anyone they can.
You have no proof that Rhoda's being set up, or that she isn't.
Actually, I believe that she was indeed the intended target from the very beginning. I believe that the plan was to push all of the blame for the crime onto her. And this evidence will prove my suspicions. This proves that the killer was out to frame Miss Tenero from the very beginning. I think it's the piggy bank, but I'm gonna look around for a second. The suitcase is also pretty suspicious. I think I'm going to say the piggy bank, because only she had access to it. This piece of evidence will answer all of our questions. Oh no, it's not it.
Are you sleep presenting or something, Mr. Edgeworth?
No, as you can plainly see, I am wide awake.
Haha, then I'm afraid you failed. You're making so little sense that I thought maybe you were asleep.
Talk about a Dr. Sleepy Mrs. Hyde-esque transformation. Is this it? But wasn't there a piece of evidence that's still unaccounted for? I need to stay calm, think carefully, and then present the condemning evidence. I guess the suitcase then.
Take that!
The killer could have hidden the body anywhere, and yet they chose the suitcase. Why is that? Perhaps it was to move the body up from the lower deck to the first floor. However, why go through the trouble to do so? The only way all of these actions make sense is if the killer had wanted to frame Miss Tenero for the murder. Miss Tenero buys a suitcase on every flight she works without fail. But should her suitcase be switched with the one containing the victim's body, that would put her in a very tight spot. Unfortunately for the killer, the turbulence put an end to that plan. There wasn't enough time to put the body back into the suitcase. Ergo, they made do with whoever was at hand, adapted by their plan. And tried to frame me as I lay unconscious on the floor from the turbulence. The killer then went to hide the suitcase in the in-flight shop, and brought the piggy bank back to the elevator in order to fabricate a false weapon. A lot of work for a fruitless endeavor, wouldn't you agree?
Sounds like the killer had a tough time too, huh? I mean, why did the killer need to frame someone that badly anyway?
That is because of the special circumstances surrounding this particular case. What special circumstance dictated the need for the killer to frame someone? Dictated the need for the killer to frame someone. I guess where the murder took place, since it landed on the thing they were smuggling. The special circumstances is simply that the murder took place on a plane mid-flight. No matter which country, customs is quite strict in this day and age. So no matter what you do, the chance that the body will be found is very high. Therefore, there was no choice but to frame either Miss Tenero or myself. In other words, the only one who fits within the boundaries of the criminal's movements is not Miss Tenero or myself, but you, Miss Camille. Only you and you alone could be the killer.
Yawn. And fall asleep again. Anyway, let's be honest here. You don't have anything on me other than a whole lot of circumstantial evidence.
No. I can see the outline of how the murder occurred, but I have no definitive evidence. And isn't there a piece of evidence that's still unaccounted for? Something that I still can't quite fit into the big picture. What is still missing? Other than the Mr. Piggy Bank? The cloth, the certificate, the cargo... The phone! The phone is missing! We don't know where the phone is! The victim supposedly had one, but it's been gone missing.
Take that!
I don't have any actual evidence,
I thought not.
but that's because it went missing, and still is.
Missing? What do you mean by that?
In the complex puzzle that is this case, there was one piece I kept getting stuck on, and that is the victim's cell phone. Francisca, you were waiting at the airport for a phone call from Agent Hicks's cell phone, or at least that's what you told me.
That's right.
But Agent Hicks's cell phone could not be found at the crime scene.
You mean the killer took the phone with him?
Precisely. I suspected if we were to find that phone, it would lead us to the killer. Maybe if someone who knew its number could call it right now.
Come on, get serious. If the victim fell to his death from that height, wouldn't his phone break as well?
We won't know that until we try a little experiment, will we? Francisca, I'd like to ask for your assistance. You know the victim's phone number, do you not?
Of course I do.
Beep, boop, boop, beep, boop, beep, boop. Hello? Agent Hicks's phone! Ringing from somewhere, sir. I hear it, Detective. Now where's it coming from? Fetch! Fetch! Gumshoe! What? Is it in one of the two cases? It sounds like the phone is up in the flight attendant's room. We better hurry to the flight attendant's room, sir. Upstairs! Keep it ringing! The ring is coming from somewhere in here, sir. Leave no stone unturned, Detective Gumshoe. We must find it. I'm going for this locker. The ring is coming from in here. The ring is coming from in here, sir. What? No, it can't be. There's gotta be the victim's cell phone. Whose locker is this, sir? It's Miss Tenero's. What? Even more framing? Or are we really going up the wrong tree here? I think it's gotta be more framing.
So, Miss Edgeworth, how did it go? Where did you find the phone? I don't know where it was.
I found it in the flight attendant's room, in Miss Tenero's locker.
What? But
Rhoda Tenero?
I don't know anything about the phone. It wasn't me. It wasn't me. Miss Von Karma, is it? I suggest you arrest Miss Rhoda right away.
She's already been arrested! You can't double arrest her. I mean, you could take her back to the station, I guess. Wait, I have a theory. This is related to the incident with the key card. When the killer went to steal the key card, they conveniently stashed the cell phone in Mr. Nero's locker at the same time.
Objection!
This is related to the key card, all right. In the same way that we have zero proof that the killer did just that. The only voice that sings the truth is evidence. That is the one word we cannot ignore.
What should I do? Francisca's right. I can't offer baseless conjectures at this point. Alright then. Why did the culprit take the cell phone from Agent Hicks? It must have something very incriminating on or in it.
Hold it!
Let's go through his cell phone! What now, Miles Edgeworth? It's not over yet. We have yet to figure out why the killer took the phone. What? Inside this phone lies the final piece of incriminating evidence that will point us to our killer. We need to examine this phone in more detail. Time to inspect! Zooming in. The phone screen is cracked pretty good. That might be a problem. The LCD is broken. Without a screen, you can't even place a call with this. Can we pop open the battery case or something? Let's see. Ah, it's a camera lens. Come to think of it, I wonder, how exactly was Agent Hicks planning to preserve the crime scene of a smuggling? Francisca, I need you to confirm something. This cell phone, can it take pictures?
Mr. Edgeworth, I can't believe you don't know about this kind of basic stuff, sir.
This looks like a very similar model to my own, and mine can take photos just fine. Do you think Agent Hicks could have taken some pictures with this? In particular, pictures as evidence for his smuggling case. If so, I'd say there may be some very inconvenient photos in here for our killer smuggler.
But the phone's all busted up, sir.
Even a super prosecutor can't repair a broken phone.
I'll find a way. Don't you worry about that.
May I go back to sleep now?
Objection!
Sesame screens on the inside and outside are broken, that's for sure. But that's also reason enough to believe that the killer wasn't able to erase the data.
What?
What do you mean by that, Francisca? I don't understand phones. I don't know how any of this works. Someone else take over. I'm not dealing with gizmos. It looks like our killer isn't very familiar with electronics. His phone still rang when I called it, meaning that only the LCD screens are broken. It's possible that the photos are still there, inside, waiting to be accessed. All we need to do is transfer the data to my phone. Does anyone have a USB? Francisca, your phone, if you please. Very well, don't scroll around. Thanks. It's transferring. All right, displaying it now. This is... Agent Hicks was most certainly trying to obtain some evidence for his smuggling case.
Hey, Alex Redno in this picture!
This has no meaning as a piece of evidence in this murder case, right?
She's right. There's not much we can find out from this about Agent Hicks' killer, sir. Surely there's other pictures, right?
Is this it? Is this the end? Is there really nothing in this photo that we can use? What can we see? I'm gonna look at these suitcases. The fact that all of the suitcases are here in this photo is odd. Hey, Agent Hicks was still alive at the time? So what exactly is so odd about suitcases that haven't been used yet being there? Yes, well, I was only pointing out things that are different between now and then. Your off-topic ramblings have put this incident to sleep yet again, Marston's Edgeworth. I'll give Sleepyhead here a rude awakening, a deafening objection and contradiction. Alright, what else is different? These are different too, I think. What's all this?
Oh, it's a cargo ship from Virginia to Zhengfa.
So the reason they aren't here now is that they were dropped off in Zhengfa. Mr. LeBlanc, can you tell me the contents of the boxes? Unfortunately, there is no English written on them anywhere.
English boxes is written in Virginian. It says what our name are. It is cloth in English.
Cloth. Could it be? Is this where the killer...
What? Which war is that Skyface?
Miss Meal.
Yes.
It appears that Agent Hicks was no ordinary investigator.
Huh?
He left us with a piece of evidence after all. A striking piece that will point out who his killer is.
Huh? Maybe you shouldn't force your mistaken reading of a simple picture, Mr. Edgeworth.
The Borginian cargo in this piece of evidence will point us straight to the killer. I'd say it is the Borginian cloth.
Take that!
And what is that supposed to prove?
The killer used this piece of cloth to wipe up the blood they had spilt. But there was one thing that bothered me this whole time. Where did it come from? And now I have finally found my answer in this very photo. The cargo that was unloaded in Zengfa had cloth written on it. In Borginian, that is. And this is where the killer grabbed a piece from to clean up the blood with. That's right. The killer was someone who could read and understand Borginian. And the only crew member that fits that description is you, Miss Chamomile.
Hold it! That's pretty flimsy. The killer probably searched through all the boxes looking for something to use. When you're frantic, you don't care if the box is in English or Brazilian.
Sorry, but I cannot agree with your assessment of the killer's indiscriminate nature.
What?
There was no need for the killer to tear through boxes at random at all. And if the killer supposedly could not comprehend Borginian, well then... Logically, the killer would have opened this box first. The one that says bed sheets in English. Hey! It says bed sheets in English right on the box, sir. Precisely. And bed sheets would be perfect for cleaning up blood, wouldn't you say?
So what are you trying to say?
That if I were the criminal, this box of bed sheets would have been what I would have spotted first. However, the killer chose to use some Borginian cloth. Do you have an explanation for that? The killer didn't want anyone to know that the real scene of the crime was this cargo hold, so they were afraid to leave signs in the box where the sheets had been opened. However, the Borginian cloth, well, that's a horse of a different color. Because the killer knew that it was going to be unloaded into the Republic of Zengfa? That's right. That is why the Borginian cloth was used. And the only Borginian reader on board who could make such a calculated decision is you, Chamomile. You and you alone. Don't hide behind that teddy bear. It would be very easy for us to confirm if any of the boxes were resealed. All we would have to do is contact the Zengfa authorities in time. We may even find other evidence to incriminate our killer within those boxes. So what do you say, Miss Mille? Why not confess to your crime here and now? Or would you rather wait and see what we find out from our investigation in Zengfa? Pop, pop, pop! Pop, pop! That's the way the bubble bursts.
He was in a boat. I couldn't stop it. I brought him here. He started taking pictures. I couldn't be found out. I was scared. I was in trouble.
You pushed him. Ooh.
We finished making all the arrangements to take the suspect in, sir.
Very good, detective. What about the smuggling route? Did she say anything about that?
They're taking her down to the precinct now. Hopefully we can get more out of her there. Whenever we even approached the topic, she just started foaming at the mouth. It was scary, sir.
She probably wasn't prepared to commit a murder all of a sudden. One thing is for sure, the ring behind this whole mess means serious business. It looks like there's a lot more to this case than meets the eye.
Mr. Edgeworth, I just wanted to say how much I appreciate everything you did. Thank you very much.
It was nothing. In fact, I should be the one thanking you for your cooperation.
But truly, if it wasn't for you, I might not be here right now. Instead, I can continue to serve our passengers as a flight attendant. I hope that, well, please accept this as a token of my appreciation.
That's,
I see. You don't have to take it if you don't want it.
No, I mean, I would never turn down a lady's generous offer. Oof.
Oh, thank you. I'm sure it will serve you well. And remember, we here at iFly Airlines are always ready to serve, Mr. Edgeworth.
Thank you. I'll keep that in mind.
Now I must bid you farewell. May all your skies be blue, no matter where you go. Unless there is a sunset,
or it is night, and then they're still kind of blue, but dark.
I can't believe we wound up investigating the whole day, sir. But boy, was it fun! I sure am glad we're best friends.
Speak for yourself, my day was filled with earthquakes, elevators, and false charges. By the way, where's Francisca?
She's filling out some customs paperwork for her departure.
Departure?
Miss Von Karma's always really busy, sir. She's been flying from country to country to chase down some leads regarding her case.
Detective, can you cancel the car I had you reserve earlier?
You got it, sir.
Bigger plot time? Francisca. I thought I told you when you first landed. I have no time for idle chatter. I have no intention of wasting your time. However, it has been a while since we last met. I also have no time for such familiar reminiscences. Just who do you think I am? You are Francisca Von Karma, a very proud prosecutor deserving of much respect. Only a little while ago, I was but a wretched mutt who was always losing to you. A dancing parrot living her life on the name and fame her invincible father built. True, your father, Manfred Von Karma, didn't lose a single case for 40 years as a prosecutor. However, I wouldn't say he was invincible. What are you talking about? Schoolboy Montezuela is a little more troublesome than most. The smuggling route he found is the old time. This time, he's only one sliver of the big picture. Sounds like a dangerous assignment. You really don't have to worry. I can take care of myself. Yes, I suppose you can. Plus, there's another agent on the case with me. Oh, another agent? He's a star among Interpol agents and has the highest success to arrest rate. Who knows, you may even run into him one day. I was simply caught up in this one case. I hardly see why we would cross paths. I suppose. But I doubt he would say the same. I'm not following you. You'll understand soon enough. The fight has only just begun, Miles Edgeworth. I'll be back in this country soon enough. And when I am, you can be sure I'll pay you back in full.
And just like that, she's gone, huh, sir? Thank goodness, I can finally rest easy, knowing I won't have to watch out for a whip.
Detective Gumshoe, I want to thank you for all your help and cooperation. And also, I'm going to hit you in the face with a whip. Whoosh!
It was nothing, sir. I'm just happy to be able to work with you again. Ho-ho! I am going to celebrate by adding a little extra salt to my instant noodles tonight. Only a little, though I can't afford it.
Just how much did you cut his salary by, Francisca? Detective, I was wondering if you might give me a ride down to the prosecutor's office.
Sure thing, sir. I'll even fly down the road in the patrol car if you want.
Don't make me remind you, Detective. Safety first. Thus I solved the first case upon my arrival home. Francisca Von Karma, the smuggling route she was after. The leaders of that ring had already put their trump card into play. And the players on the other side of this war, they would begin to make themselves known through the next incident. Hello? Edgeworth speaking. Finally, I called who knows how many times earlier, but I couldn't get through. And you are? Have you forgotten my voice, Miles, my boy? Mr. Amano. Ernest Amano, correct? So you do remember me. I know it's rather sudden, but I can't ask this of anyone else. There's been an incident, Miles. My son, he's been kidnapped. Find out next time. Someone's been kidnapped! That's the end of this chapter. Thanks for joining us, everybody. Join us next time for a new episode, The Kidnapped Turnabout. Wow. Like, comment, subscribe if you haven't by now. And I'll see you guys next time. Thanks so much for everybody in the chat, and I'll see you then. Bye for now.